Hello and welcome to the class. My name's Paddy. Today we're going to be looking at letters of arrangement and letters of information for IELTS Writing Task 1. If you have any questions after this class, you can click on the chat icon at the top of your page here. Clicking on that icon will let you send us a message with any questions that you have. This is the first class of 2 classes, and this video will last around 20 minutes. In this class, we're going to look at letters where you have to make arrangements. During this class, there will be some questions for you to answer. You can find these below the video. I will tell you when you need to answer these questions, and I'll give you about 10 to 15 seconds to do so. Okay, let's get started. In Task 1, you may have to write a letter of arrangement. This is a kind of letter where you have to make, cancel, or change future plans. As well as this, you may have to inquire about details, for example, asking a hotel what they can offer you when you arrive, or perhaps asking your friend about their availability. As well as this, they sometimes ask you to express how you feel about the plan. So, for example, tell your friend that you are visiting that you're very excited about the plan. In English, talking about the future has a wide variety of grammar. We have grammar for talking about arrangements, making predictions, and talking about your personal intentions. So your letters can include this. As well as this, grammar for making suggestions and grammar for asking questions about people's availability. So there's a lot that you can fit in there. For this type of letter, they could be formal, semi-formal, or informal. So a formal letter of arrangement might involve making a plan with a hotel manager, semi-formal, perhaps with a colleague that you don't know very well, and informal, making a plan for a holiday with a friend. As with all types of question, letters of arrangement may be combined with other kinds of letter. For example, a letter of apology that you have to cancel your plan. Now let's look at an example question for this type of letter. Let's read through the question. You have organized a city trip with your friend. However, you must change your plans. In your letter, tell your friend how much you are looking forward to the trip, give a reason for changing the plan, and suggest an alternative arrangement. So there's a few words here that jump out at me. We have organize, we have change your plans, we have looking forward to, and we have again change plan and arrangement. So these words tell me, okay, we're talking about the future and we're talking about an arrangement. As always, with a Task 1 letter question, we need to think about who and why. So that's who are we writing to and why are we writing? What is the purpose of our letter? So when we think about who are we writing to, we're thinking about the register. Is this going to be formal or informal? Look at the first question below this video. There are 2 options for this letter, formal or informal. Which type of letter will this be? Choose the correct option. This letter is going to be informal. We know this because of the word friend in the question. Every time you see friend, it's definitely going to be an informal letter. Now, let's think about why we are writing. In Task 1 questions, there is always 1 sentence and then 3 bullet points. We must include all of the necessary information to score for that task achievement mark. I'm going to show you some ideas of things we could include in our letter. A, explain the plan. B, apologize. C, make a suggestion. D, tell a story. E, request information. F, explain why. And G, talk about your feelings. 3 of those we have to do in this letter. Which 3? Look at the next question below this video and choose the 3 options that you think we have to do in this letter. So when we write this letter, we will have to make a suggestion. This relates to the point number 3, suggest an alternative arrangement. So we would have to make a suggestion of when it would be good to do this trip again. We need to explain why. It asks us to give a reason for changing the plan. So we must explain why we have changed our mind. And G, talk about your feelings. It tells us to tell your friend how much you are looking forward to the trip. So this is an expression of your emotions about the trip. Can we also do the other things? Yes, of course. You may apologize for changing the plan. You might request some information from your friend, like when would be good for him. But these are not necessary according to the question. We must do these 3 things. Anything else is a nice little extra. So what is this question asking us to do? As always, the first sentence gives us the context. We have already planned a city trip. So a city trip is a short holiday to a city, maybe New York or Barcelona. But I have decided to change the plan. The 3 things I also need to do in this letter are tell my friend how I feel about the plan, probably something positive. I need to give a reason why I have to change the plan. And then I need to propose an alternative time or date or an alternative plan with them. So now that I know what I need to write, I can look at the structure I can use to contain this information. As with all letters, I start with a greeting and I finish with a sign-off. My first few sentences will be my reason for writing stated clearly. Now, this is an informal letter, so I'm going to give my reasons in an informal way. Then my paragraphs are going to be made up of those 3 bullet points from the question. They don't have to follow the exact order of the question, but it's a good idea because they often flow more logically that way. So a greeting, I'm going to say something like Dear Paul or Hi Paul. Remember, this is informal. I'm just writing to let you know that next week I can't go with you to Barcelona anymore, for example. Okay, an informal way of stating the objective and purpose of this letter. Bullet point 1, I'm going to express my excitement. It's probably a good idea to say something positive in this email. So I was really looking forward to going with you, but. So here I've started to show my enthusiasm for the plan, and I've started to introduce the idea that I can't do this plan anymore. The reason is that. Perfect. This is a perfect way of introducing the reason. It's good to use linking expressions like this that introduce the purpose of each paragraph, especially because the examiner is going to be looking for that information. What we could do is making a suggestion using a conditional structure here. The sign off, thanks for being so understanding. Thank you for being my friend. All the best. So something informal like this. So that's the kind of structure we're going to be looking to write. Let's start to plan our letter. Before you write your letter, you need to make a plan. It's a good idea to spend at least 3 minutes doing this. Usually between 3 and 5 minutes is a good amount of time to spend planning. Your planning time should be spent thinking about the structure of your letter, making sure you include all of the necessary information, and thinking of some interesting language and structures you could use in your letter. You don't have to use full sentences in your plan, and the examiner will not read your plan. But there are some sentences it's a good idea to practice before you write them in your letter. An example of this is your reason for writing. Your reason for writing will be the first sentence of your letter. Maybe you might start with, "I hope you're doing well," but the sentence after that will be your reason for writing. Here, I have practiced the language I'm going to use for my reason for writing, because this is such an important sentence. Then, when I come to write my letter, I can put this in quickly at the beginning, and it will give me a good start. So I'm just writing to let you know that unfortunately I have to postpone our city break to Berlin next weekend. This sounds good. It's got a contraction there, so I know it's informal. Just writing, again, sounds a little bit more informal. Postpone is a good verb there. Maybe I could change it to a phrasal verb like put off. But at the moment, I like this sentence, so I can just write this directly. Now, for bullet point 1, we had to talk about what the plan was originally and how I felt about that plan. Remember, I was going to say that I was excited. So what I might do here is detail our original plan, talk about some things we were going to do. So our plan was to go to Berlin. So maybe I'm going to talk about how we were going to check out the local nightlife and try some local cuisine. I'm not writing sentences here. I'm writing some little verb phrases for ideas that I can include, and then I can give my opinion about each of those. The next bullet point, I had to give a reason why I'm changing the plan. So I've had a little think and I've thought, okay, I have a brother and he broke his leg. He's moving house. I don't want to let him down. I need to give him a hand. I've thought of some casual expressions I can throw in that sound natural. Remember, you don't want to use too many idioms, but your planning stage is a chance to think of some good language that feels natural that you can put in there. Bullet point 3, I need to make an alternative arrangement. This kind of language, making proposals in the future, can be a little bit tricky, so I'm going to practice it. Would it be okay if we postponed to next month? So this is a second conditional structure, but it's talking about the future. I'm being friendly and polite here. I've thought of some other verb phrases that might be useful. Reschedule our flights, that's what we're going to have to do. We might have to pay a small fee to the airline. So I'm going to make a few predictions about that change to our schedule there. Again, notice how I'm not using full sentences for those points that I'm planning. I'm just thinking of some ideas that could form sentences when I write. Doesn't need to be too much, because remember, it's 150 words. You'd be surprised how quickly that disappears. Now let's talk about the register of our letter. Formal letters and informal letters do look very different. Formal language is used to communicate with organizations, businesses, and people of authority. So if I was making an arrangement, perhaps with a company client, then of course my language would be pretty formal if I'd never met them before. Informal language is pretty much always with a friend or family member. Remember, look for that word friend in the question. I'm going to show you some examples of language which can be formal, informal, or both. In this list we have, I am writing to arrange, I'm just writing to let you know, we will be arriving shortly before 4 p.m, we're staying in a cute little hotel in the centre. Unfortunately, there has been a change of plans. I don't think I can make it this weekend. I was wondering if it would be possible to. Do you think you could? Some of these are formal, some of these are informal, and we can use all of them in a letter of arrangement. So first of all, I am writing to arrange, and I'm just writing to let you know. We're going to use this in our reason for writing sentence. But which one is formal and which one is informal? I'm writing to arrange is more formal. So arrange is much more of a formal word. I'm just writing to let you know is a more informal phrase. So let you know is a little bit more informal. Next, we will be arriving shortly before 4 p.m. What do you think? Formal, informal, or both? This is formal. Shortly before, and we will be arriving. So a future continuous construction there. It's quite formal. We're staying in a cute little hotel in the center. The word cute there suggests that this is informal. And it's also got a contraction there with we're. Now I'd like you to think about the remaining 4 phrases. Would we use these in a formal letter, an informal letter, or could we use them in both? Look at the next question below this video and focus on the phrase, unfortunately, there has been a change of plans. Would you use this in a formal letter, an informal letter, or both types of letter? Choose the correct option. This phrase, unfortunately there has been a change of plans, could actually be used in both types of letter, so formal or informal. In a formal letter, you might say, unfortunately there has been a change of plans, we shall have to reschedule. In an informal letter, unfortunately there has been a change of plans, I can't make it next weekend. Now look at the next phrase, I don't think I can make it this weekend. Do you think we use this in a formal letter, an informal letter, or both kinds of letter? Look at the next question below this video and choose the correct option for I don't think I can make it this weekend. This phrase is informal. So don't is a contraction which we use in informal letters, and make it for attend or arrive is an informal expression as well. Now look at the next expression. I was wondering if it would be possible to. Look at the next question below this video and decide, would we use this in a formal letter, an informal letter, or both kinds of letter? We would use this in a formal letter. So notice how it's quite a long way of saying, can I or can you? So, can I come? I was wondering if it would be possible to come. Can you come? I was wondering if it would be possible for you to come. So this formal expression of I was wondering using would, very formal. Finally, do you think you could? Would we use this in a formal letter, an informal letter, or both? Look at the next question below this video and choose the correct option. Do you think you could would be used in an informal letter. For example, do you think you could come next Saturday at 4 p.m? So this use of you is very personal and it's for informal letters. So how do we start and finish our letter? Sometimes the question will tell you how to start the letter. They will say, start your letter with Dear David, or start your letter with Dear Sir/Madam. If the question gives you this information, then of course, use it. If not, then a formal letter will start Dear Sir/Madam for somebody that you don't know the name of, like a hotel manager, for example. If you do know the name of the person, like your boss, then use their surname with Dear Mr. or Dear Mrs. So this is formal language. Remember, if you're writing to someone whose name you know, you'll have to invent this name. You can use a normal English-sounding name or a name from your own country, whatever you like. If you are writing a semi-formal letter, then you'll always start it with dear followed by their first name. For example, you're writing to a work colleague who you're not super close with, then you'd say, Dear Susan or Dear James. Informal letters can use hi or dear as well. I would recommend hi. It's much more friendly, it's much more casual. For your final sentence, remember, this is a letter of arrangement. You're talking about the future. So you're going to want to express something about seeing them in the future or looking forward to seeing them. In a formal letter, I look forward to. Rather than I'm looking forward to, I look forward to in present simple is better. So I look forward to hearing from you soon, which means I look forward to receiving your reply. Then, yours sincerely, yours faithfully, or kind regards. Remember, yours sincerely is for people whose name you know, like Dear Mr. Jones, and yours faithfully is for people whose name you don't know, such as Dear Sir/Madam. Kind regards is appropriate for all letters of arrangement. For informal letters, you're going to say something excited and happy about looking forward to the future. I can't wait to see you. Remember, we could even remove the word I and start with can't wait to see you. This type of removal of the subject is quite common in informal letters. Just like this example, looking forward to seeing you, which means the same thing here, but it's much more informal in the grammar. All the best. Kind regards are good sign-offs for informal and semi-formal letters. That is the end of the class. Now it's time to watch class 2 and do any of the training and practice activities on that topic. Remember, if you have any questions, you can click on that chat icon at the top of your page there. If you click on that icon, you will be able to send us a message with any questions that you have. Thank you for listening.